All right, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us today for today's investor pitch. Quick background on International Accelerator. We are a 12-month on-site accelerator program based in Austin, Texas, and we partner exclusively with foreign-born founders, helping them to launch and scale their businesses in the U.S. market. For our portfolio companies, some of the items that we help them with are everything from immigration through formation and ultimately scaling their revenue and growing their client base in the US all the way through their Series A fundraising round. In today's agenda, we're going to be presenting 3 of our portfolio startups who will be given 15 minutes each to pitch. After today's call, we'll be sharing contact information with each of the startups that pitch. But during this call, if you have any questions, please feel free to either send them to me directly in the chat or by email to jack@iaccelerator.com. With us on the participants panel here is Rehan from LetUsNudge, which is a platform for seating maximization for both busy and slow times for restaurant owners and operators. Rehan, I will turn it over to you to share your screen and kick off your presentation.
Great, thank you so much, Jack. Let me share my screen here. Appreciate it.
All righty, now we've got it.
Great, thank you so much. So you can hear me and you can see me. Everything good?
All good.
All right. Thanks again, IA team. My name is Rehan, and I'd like to talk to you about my startup here. I'm the founder of LetUsNudge, where we're helping restaurants with seating maximization technology for both busy and slow times. So listen, we've all been here before, right? We go to a restaurant on a busy day. Basically, they don't take a reservation. There's a 45-minute to 2-hour wait. That line is out the door. You can think of the big chains, as you know. What's happening is we know, it's hospitality. We get it. But people are basically camped out. They're done with their meal. They're talking. They're having a great time, which is absolutely understood. But, as a customer, I'm just waiting in that foyer. I'm hangry, and I want to eat as well. So, what can we do about that? This problem has been around for a while. And they literally are called camped out customers. We've been also noticing when it's slow, right? Unfortunately, because of this pandemic, restaurants are still not making that revenue that they made before the pandemic. A lot of food and drink is going bad. And a lot of restaurants, I'm in New Jersey, they are going out of business, unfortunately. So what can we do about that, right? Why now? So basically, like I mentioned, since this pandemic, restaurants are one of the industries that have taken one of the largest hits. It's basically in 2020, $240 billion was the hit that restaurants took. What has happened is that they've seen this increase in technology, almost threefold since 2020. They were laggards in this industry. Restaurants did not catch up to technology, but now they're on board. Some are saying they actually have too much technology now. With that said, almost 50% of that technology is QR codes. So that's where we come in with LetUsNudge. We feel there's a solution for these two problems, where LetUsNudge is this patent-pending SaaS technology where the restaurant now has the power to nudge us, the customer, secure, seamless, and subtle nudges, be it dollar, percentage, or coupons even, to kind of help turn those tables or bring in customers during slow times. It's all done real time. It's all on the cloud. So that's how it works. Let's kind of talk about that. So during busy times, right? Again, like that first slide showed, the restaurant is absolutely packed. Here's this table. It's your friends, your family. You're done with your meal. You're having a great time. You're conversing, but there are people waiting to get a table. So what happens here is the restaurants that we're in, we have a QR code on the table. The wait staff may tell you about it. We're training them the dialogue, basically, where you will scan that QR code, name, email, phone number. You are in our system until if you ever wanted to opt out. Basically, now the restaurant has the power to nudge you, right? Again, like I mentioned, that nudge, a dollar, percentage, or even a comeback coupon. And that data stays with the restaurant as well as in our database. Long short, how it works, more. Basically, you can hit no on your phone. You're having a great time with your family. They're not going to bother you again. That's it. If you hit yes, literally, you're going to have a timer pop up on your phone, and the restaurant says the same thing. Basically, like Uber and Lyft, you've got now 10 minutes. Again, remember, you're done with your meal, and you will get that nudge, whatever they offer to give you. That's how it works for table turnover, busy times. For slow times, right? Here I am lying on the couch, basically on a Friday night. I get a nudge on my phone. And this is similar to a lot of the push technologies that we get on our phones anyway. Basically, LetUsNudge, buy one, get one free Italian pasta dish at my favorite Italian restaurant. Again, if I'm interested, if I have not had dinner, I will hit yes. We are on our way. It's actually helping restaurants with their operations as well. Market size. So this is a very healthy market. It's going to be by 2030, $2.8 billion for just reservation and table management software alone, with a compound annual growth rate about 17.6%. The overall market's even more healthier. That's all restaurant management software, again, kind of hovering around 15 billion by 2030. So, where do we place ourselves? We do feel we are first to market, kind of a disruptive technology. With that said, we did have to have some sort of competition. So I call it more derivative competition, where, we kind of place ourselves in the middle of both reservations and loyalty. I know you've all used OpenTable. It's a great platform to, reserve a table. Resi's, some higher end restaurants as well. And then the loyalty programs such as Thanks, Punch, and Lunchbox. Basically, the takeaway from this slide are the price points on the left-hand side, basically kind of showing the sweet spot where we feel we can come in and kind of, price our technology against both reservations and loyalty. So the pricing model itself, right? For our table turnover, it is per location. So that's where, we hope to get the volume to do better where we are currently. But for the table turnover, it's $100 per month per location. And our enterprise package is table turnover and our Nudge at Home, both solutions, for $250 per month per location, with a full suite of data analytics, which are very cool. We're really happy and proud to have Nathan's Famous as our first big customer. As you know, Nathan's Famous does that hot dog eating contest every year. I got to be a judge last year as well as this year. Those are 76 hot dogs that Joey Chestnut downed in 10 minutes. So it was absolutely gross, but I was up close and personal to see all the action. With that said, just financially, our MRR with Nathan's Famous is right around 4,000 at the moment with 15 locations. That's what we currently are at, and we're hoping to grow there as well. This is exciting. For our table turnover, we are seeing about a 20% uptake in revenue with 14 independent restaurants that we are in. So those are ongoing. We're just collecting data on that, just letting them keep nudging people. And we're seeing customers like it. They're like, that's a 91% customer satisfaction rate. Because again, we're never pushing you out the door. We're nudging you with something to kind of turn that table so someone else can get seated quicker. This is exciting as well. Arby's and Domino's, the conversations are ongoing. Arby's, I think by next week, we're going to be piloting in 9 regional stores here in the Pennsylvania area. I'm actually in New Jersey, so close to home. And Domino's will be in New Jersey with 15 locations. So we're working on the Nudge at Home pilots with them. The tech conversations are really exciting with like big companies such as DoorDash and Clover. They know of us. We're connected with their head of partnerships. They just want to see some more traction. And I feel like we may be integrated in these platforms as well. This is fun stuff, right? We've been accepted into a few accelerators, including IA Global. So really happy about that opportunity. And then unsolicited marketing. That's what we all asked for. Just some of these big name journals that have reached out to us, kind of talked about us, unsolicited. Techstars is kind of courting us as well for their Rising Stars program. We won a few awards along the way, so we're happy about that. We started this in the pandemic, and again, we did not do this just because, let's do this. We did this because we felt there was a problem. So we started off with restaurant surveys. We did beta testing as well. We did file a trademark, so LetUsNudge, those 3 words are trademarks, so we have that trademark. And we have filed a patent. Our algorithm is pretty slick. We are in 3rd round of conversations with the USPTO, basically, to try to get this patented. We feel like this technology is going to benefit restaurants here, states, and hopefully filing patents overseas as well, ultimately when we get there. We're not there yet. Nathan's Famous is live, as you know, and our goal is to get to about 20,000 MRR by the end of this year, and we feel like we can do that with the Arby's and Domino's coming on board. There's no I in team, and my team is absolutely amazing. I can't do anything without these folks. I'm not an IT guy, but they have made my vision, my requirements come to life, and it works really well. This platform, both technologies, and it's just a great group of people. And basically also our board of advisors, some of these folks we're considering for our board of directors, and we are open to that conversation with anyone that you may know in both restaurant or tech to help us on our board. But Deb, James, and Pat have been very influential for LetUsNudge where we are today. And finally, our investment ask, basically we are asking for 500,000. That can be a safe no, perhaps based on about 10% equity. We can talk about that more if needed. But we have been valued by Start Accelerator New York City at $5 million. We also launched on Start Engine, which was an honor for us, right? Start Engine looks at 20,000 companies a year. We were one of them. Basically, they valued us at 5.9. That's all public information. So that's LetUsNudge in a nutshell. We'd like to get some money to make our IT even more smart, more AI built in. Of course, we're doing this all with our day jobs. That's the only caveat. We feel like, if we get our bag of money, then hopefully, I know myself, I'm willing to jump in full time. The IA team knows that as well. So that's LetUsNudge, folks. Really appreciate your time. I'm trying to get to the last slide here. Thank you very much. Any comments or questions? I can stop sharing.
Awesome, Rehan. Feel free to leave your contact information up there as well if you'd like. We do have some questions coming in from the audience here.
Sure.
First off, how do you see yourself versus competitors like OpenTable? I know you kind of addressed this on the competition slide, but could you maybe expand on the differentiation between yourself and people like Resi, OpenTable, et cetera?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have put can you see the screen? I put my contact information, but regarding OpenTable and Resi, yeah, absolutely. We do feel their front-end reservation systems. We've talked to both of those platforms. We're connected with their head of partnerships as well. We've done a lot, actually, the last 2 years. So, we feel we're not a threat to them at the moment, but, if the momentum we feel we're getting, perhaps an opportunity for them to look at us in a different light. But at the moment, we're not a front-end reservation system. We're back-end. We're basically nudging people out the door when we need to turn tables.
Awesome. And within the overall restaurant industry, is there a certain niche for types of restaurants that you're targeting? Obviously, seeing that traction with Arby's and Domino's, but are you focused more on fast casual, fine dining, or are you more broad-based there?
I mean, I'd love to be in fine dining as well. As you know, that's a little tricky because obviously, the opportunity there, the check is a big check. The nudge can be a big nudge, but obviously you never want to push anyone out of the door of a fancy steakhouse. Well, long, short, that algorithm, like if, the nice restaurants in New York City, to answer that question, if you're nudging them, you're actually seeing that incremental revenue by our algorithm at a nice steakhouse. To answer the question, we're looking at fast casual, like these Arby's, the Domino's, the Nathan's. I think that's, and we've learned this while we've been doing this, that those are the kind of restaurants reaching out. We'd love to get into the big chains, the Cheesecake Factories of the world, TGI Fridays, obviously, for table turnover opportunities.
Great. And two very similar questions here, but from Bill Gorham. May have missed it, but what is a typical nudge offer to the customer? It would be quite different between Arby's and, say, Lowry's, right?
Yeah, you got it. Absolutely. So for Arby's, we're not with them yet, but I can talk about Nathan's Famous. So Nathan's Famous, the nudges have been buy one, get one free hot dog, buy a 10% cheesesteak, buy one, get one free French fries, the kind of typical food fare that they offer. For a table turnover nudge, we have been seeing it's on about average $10 a cash nudge to kind of move people, and that is a line item deduction off of your bill. We are not part of a POS system at the moment. We've talked to all of them. That's why I put Clover and the other one on the slide there. So once hopefully we get integrated, that'll make things easier. But about $10 for the average nudge to kind of move that table.
Awesome. And another question from David, potentially interested investor that doesn't do safe notes. Would you consider convertible debt?
Yes, absolutely. We are open to all those conversations. And I feel like with IA Global on board with us as well, those are great conversations to have.
Awesome. And then as far as your development roadmap, I think you had something on one of your slides about point of sales as possibly an area for expansion, but can you speak to maybe future items in your development roadmap, like inventory management, point of sales systems, or is the plan to stay more focused on seating optimization and customer incentivization?
No. Absolutely, Jack. A point of sales integration would be ideal for us. Right now, it is a very manual process in the sense, you get the nudge on your foot, that's all automatic, but they do have to take that line item off of the bill. A POS would integrate all of that. So in the future, just inventory management, I don't think that's us at the moment, but my team is very dynamic. We do want to plug in more AI into this thing. We feel like that is obviously where the industry all industries are headed. So, smart technologies, AI, we feel like, my IT guys, I mean, like I said, I'm not an IT person, but they talk a lot. There's a lot that we can bring to the table moving forward.
Awesome. And what's your average time for onboarding a customer, and what are some of the steps you have to take in that onboarding process?
Excellent question. So Nathan's famous, full transparency, it took about 4 months. Just a seasoned executive management team. We dealt directly with corporate. So with Nathan's famous, it took about 4 months. We feel RBs, like we've already now been going at it with them for about 2 months. So I think we're gonna, close a deal with them, and it will be 3 months. So that's the average time. What was the second part of that question?
Yeah, what are some of the steps that go into that implementation process?
Yes, so absolutely, Jack. So for table turnover, we physically map out every table in the restaurant, be it 1, be it 100 per table. So, that is included in our dashboards. The restaurant can see it, we can see it. So you've seen some of those kind of dashboards at restaurants. It kind of looks like that, but that's how it's done. It takes about 15 to 20 minutes, depending on how many tables that restaurant wants to use for LetUsNudge. That's what we do. We kind of map it out, and then it's kind of seamless. Basically, that restaurant can pick and choose a table and fire that nudge at that table. And then again, it's asynchronous. I will see the same 10 minutes as the restaurant. So when I leave, automatically, the restaurant know that table has left, and basically they've turned that table. Similar for the nudge at home. That is actually much more easier. That is just a data dump. For Nathan's famous, like I mentioned, 300,000 emails into our database, and we can fire whatever they want us to. It is a bit of like, kind of back and forth. What would you guys like for us to do for you this month? And they let us know how many people, what restaurants, etc., and we fire the nudge off of them.
Nice. And kind of piggybacking off of that, which you mentioned for the implementation, mapping out each of the tables and getting the feel for the layout of the restaurant. Have you considered pricing according to number of tables per location? And maybe this would be an interesting idea as a way to pilot the program for a potential customer. Maybe not all of the tables are included in the restaurant in the Nudge network, but you could sort of section off half of the restaurant and almost run it as a competition against their existing performance?
Oh, absolutely. So yes, in the 14 independents we are in, I think most of them don't have the entire floor in LetUsNudge. They have saved some of those bigger tables that we see. The average table size is like 4 seats to about 8 seats. Larger tables, I've personally tried to nudge larger tables. That is like a family situation or occasion, and that those folks are having a good time, so we don't want to bother them. But yeah, to answer your question, we've looked into that.
Awesome. So if you've rented the private room for your birthday, you're not going to get told.
Exactly. No, you're not going to get told. And we've got safeguard features as well. Like we've got this 3 strikes you're out policy built in, which basically, if I get my nudge and I decide not to leave, so our system will know that Rehan has not left 3 times, and then you're kind of on our red flag. So we'll see what happens. So no one has done that yet.
Awesome. And then one last question we've got time for. What type of geographical location expansion are you planning?
Yeah, so obviously we are in New Jersey, Maryland, and Virginia with our independents, as well as Nathan's famous, mostly Coney Island in New York. We soon to hope to be in Texas, great state of Texas. We are in 14 restaurant associations statewide. So, I'd love to get us into those states. They know of us. We've been heavily marketing with them about our brand. So 14 out of 50 states, we're kind of know of us, but right now it's US, but I do feel this is a global technology, obviously cultural base for sure. I've been to France, I've been to Switzerland. They love to take their meals, which is fine, but opportunity knocks. So we'll see where we can do. We tested the pilot in the UK, so I think there's an opportunity there as well. But right now we want to concentrate on domestic.
Fantastic. Well, Rehan, thank you so much. We will bring Juan into the room.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
So up next, we have Juan Munguia from MAerospace, which is a metal 3D printing startup with the ability to print large parts and combine materials, offering contract manufacturing and also building and selling its proprietary printers. So Juan, I will give you the screen share controls and turn it over to you here.
Thank you very much, Jake. I cannot share. There you go. Great. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Juan Munguia. I'm the co-founder and CEO of MAerospace RTC, and we're building the next generation of large-scale metal 3D printing technology. A little bit of my background: I'm an aeronautical engineer with a master's on aerospace design and focused most of my career working for several companies developing 3D printing technologies. So actually working on the industry, we started looking that the metal 3D printing market was a huge market, and it's estimated to be an industry of more than $350 billion by 2035. And just in the US, it will become an industry of more than $30 billion. And actually, did you know that to build a rocket, it probably will cost you more than $100 million, and it probably will take you more than a year to manufacture all the components on this rocket. So that is actually why most companies are trying to implement new technologies such as 3D printing to speed up the process, but also to lower the manufacturing cost. And that is why at MAerospace RTC, we create the world's first affordable large-scale metal 3D printer called ArmBrush 2.0. With our patent technology, we're capable of producing up to 66% bigger parts than our closest competitor, and even 50% faster, and even 20% cheaper. What is unique about our metal 3D printing technology is that we can build very large metal structures. We are able of printing up to 10 by 10 feet long metal structures, and we can also combine several alloys. Like if you want a part to be half titanium with half aluminum, that's possible using our technology. Also, technology can be used for repair applications, and it comes with an augmented reality platform just to track in real time how the parts are being manufactured on the manufacturing floor. So you can see exact when the parts are being inspected and even assembled. Also, we provide our customers with frictionless quotes so they know how much the part will cost, and remote assistance about how to design a part. This is actually a business case that we developed for one of our customers, which in this case, they want to build a satellite antenna bracket, but also to keep the strength to weight to radio. And thanks to our technology, we're capable of reducing the production time by 50%, and even reduce the weight by 25%, and even improve the stiffness to weight to radio by 25%. We have several customers using our technology right now, mostly on the aerospace, which includes companies like Honeywell and Gulfstream, but we have customers also in the auto industry like General Motors and Audi, and even some on the medical industry like Medtronic, and even some on the oil and gas. And we're having several new customers by referral programs, also by trade shows, and a lot of efforts on inbound marketing strategy. So, of course, there's competition. The metal 3D printing is a huge industry, but what is unique about our metal 3D printing technology is that we can build very large metal structures at the fraction of a cost with very tight tolerance. So remember that I told you that we can build all the weight parts to 10 feet long, but that's with a precision of 10 microns. So that's the size of a human hair. There are other companies like 3D System or Desktop Metal which focus on small, very detailed parts, and there are other startups that they do very large metal structures, but they are not very high detail. And we combine both benefits. And also we can combine several materials alloys on the same part. And how are we making money? So we're selling our metal 3D printers for $200,000. The second prong of revenue is we develop business cases for our customers. So if they don't want to purchase a printer, they just send the part and we print the part for them. And then when it makes sense, they can buy the printer. And then the third prong of revenue is maintenance contracts. So we charge our current customers $5,000 every 6 months just to keep the printers running. And we also provide the material that goes in the printers. So far, we have delivered 4 metal 3D printers. We're producing 4 at our manufacturing facility in Mexicali, Baja California, in Mexico. And actually, we have already a pipeline of 6 more orders. And actually, that number is incorrect. Right now, it's 8 because we just received 2 new. So last year, we make $1.5 million in revenue. This year, we estimate around $3 million in revenue, which we feel very comfortable of that. First, second quarter, we probably are already on $800K on revenue with $1.6 $6 million in pipeline of backlogs. So we feel very comfortable we will be achieving this. And recently, we also been awarded with the Navy DoD contract for a $10 million contract on the next 3 years. So as you can see, for 2024, we estimate at least $60 million in revenue. And by 2026, we're either planning to be exiting the strategy by selling the company at least at 7x on return. We have a great team full of mechanical engineers, electronical engineers, and even some PhDs on aeronautics that have worked for great companies like Collins Aerospace, Safran, and even Honeywell. Our headquarters are in Austin, Texas, and we have a manufacturing facility in Mexico, in Mexicali, near San Diego, California, with customers in Mexico, in the US, and soon in Europe and Asia. We also have won several awards. We obviously are part of International Accelerator, but we also have won like Math Challenge, Rise Business Competition, just to mention some of those. And we're currently seeking $2 million in an equity round, so preferred shares at the pre-money valuation of $50 million, which will actually help us expand and start our assemble facility in the US for this specific government contract, which will be used basically for working capital, human resources, infrastructure, marketing, and even some equipment for this new facility, which might probably be in Laredo, Texas. So I hope that you enjoyed the conversation. If you have any questions, please let me know, and we'll be glad to be part of these great companies, such as these great investors that we have already abroad. So thank you very much for your time, and appreciate your time.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Juan. We do have a couple questions here. One, I think you answered about where are the manufacturing facilities, but just to confirm, currently producing in Mexicali, but looking at Laredo as a potential base of operations within the US?
Yes, correct. So right now, everything is being manufactured in Mexicali, in Baja California, in Mexico. But yeah, but the plan, and actually for this funding, is just for this specific goal, which will be used as have an assemble facility in Texas.
Awesome. And then the upper limits on the size limitations for components that you can print. I think you touched on that, but what was the upper size constraints?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, the biggest part we have been building is 10 feet long with a precision of 10 microns. So we usually recommend parts that might be between 20 to 30 centimeters, but we can go all the way up to 20 feet long. So it's really a very broad range that we can print.
Awesome. And what about other industry verticals that you could see being potentially viable future clients? I know you mentioned oil and gas, some in the medical space. I could see automotive, but maybe you could kind of expand on some of those opportunities.
So we started as an aerospace company, so we're only focusing on the aerospace, but because we have seen that our technology is very broad, so we expanded, and right now we have applications on the automobile industry, medical industry, and even in the oil and gas industry. So, I mean, if there's other industry that we haven't been tackling, we might be open for a conversation, but at the moment, these are the industries that we're focusing.
Very cool. And question from Bill Gorham. What does your sales and biz dev channels look like? Are you doing any direct sales? I see on this slide, inbound marketing, trade shows, referrals, but do you have any proactive outbound direct sales?
Yeah, so, well, we do a lot of online content. So basically, like I mentioned, how are we making sales is actually through a referral program. So customer that refers to new customer. Also, I mean, we attend to several trade shows to know about, so they can know about our technology. And we also do a lot of inbound marketing. So creating some paid ads on LinkedIn, Google. We put a lot of effort on SEO, so creating content for ourselves. So that's the most common that we do.
Nice. And another question here that I know you and I have talked about, but what type of post-print activities go into producing the metal components? So you're heat treating, any sort of finishing touch-ups needed on these components, or are they basically ready to go once they're printed?
Well, that's an interesting question. So because of our process is a direct energy deposition, so you can consider the finished part like a raw part. So basically, whatever process you are doing currently on a forging or a casting, you will have to do it to the part. So if you require very, very tight tolerance, you probably might machine it later, or maybe do some heat treatment to the part. So it really depends on the application, but whatever you mostly are doing on a forging or a casting, you will do it later on the part.
Awesome. And how will profitability vary with U.S. production? I'm assuming your labor costs certainly are going to be a little bit higher, but can you speak to how you'll remain competitive with other manufacturing firms once you set up operations in the U.S.?
Yeah, correct. So the plan is to still do the manufacturing in Mexico. The US facility will be an assembling line. And actually, we're also planning on doing some contract manufacturing for specific customers. But you can see the margins will kind of still be on the same radar. We being a contract manufacturing between a 40 to 50% of gross margin.
Awesome. And another question, I may have missed this part, but do you have any patents? I believe I did see a patent number
Yeah,
on
we have the patent in Mexico, and we're patent pending in the US, Germany, Spain, Italy, and France, and in the UK. So we're patent pending on that. And we're about to release actually our new technology coming very, very soon.
Fantastic. And then another question here from the audience. What are your plans for Germany?
Unfortunately, I cannot disclose exactly what are we doing because right now we're only focusing on the US market because there's a huge market here. But I will say that we have a great distributor in Germany ready to go as soon as we finish with some government contracts that we have here in place.
Fantastic. And out of my curiosity, the satellite antenna bracket project that was highlighted on one of the slides, are you guys participating in kind of the engineering and design of those components prior to printing them, or was that something that the client did the engineering and then presented you with kind of a 3D model and you're just doing the production?
Yeah, so well, all the expertise obviously for that specific product is from the customer. So I mean, we're experts on 3D printing, not on satellites. So we help with optimization of the part and things like orientation and how will be the best way of printing the part. But obviously, all the expertise on how it should perform was based on the customer.
Right, makes sense. So they're doing the stress modeling and everything. Another question from the audience. Great that you have a government contract. Do you have any more contracting deals in the pipeline? I know you mentioned a couple of printer orders in the pipeline, 8, which is fantastic, but what about the contract manufacturing side?
Yeah, so we have some stable customers that actually are very recurring. Like I will say right now, monthly is around $100,000 to $120,000 every month on recurring contract manufacturing. Obviously, we're always like right now we're struggling with the production rate that we have. We're having more demand than what we can handle. But yeah, I think that the strategies with this new facility that we're open, we will be releasing capabilities soon.
Well, that's certainly a good problem to have, more demand than your production capacity. So definitely sounds like the expansion into the US, the additional assembly line will help that. So definitely a good problem to have. For the printers, you mentioned the 8 in your
cutting,
backlog.
Jake. I cannot hear you.
Yeah. One other question for the printers. What's your typical lead time for going from receiving an order for a printer to delivering it to the client?
Yeah, so right now it's between 3 to 4 months, the waiting time. Actually, we just, at the beginning, we were 9 months, then we were able to lower production time to 6 months. And right now we're between 3 to 4 months of delivery.
Awesome. And question from the audience, will moving to the East Coast offer strategic advantage? Obviously around, I'm thinking like the Washington, Virginia area, there's a lot of defense contractors, military potential clients.
Yeah, so to be honest, we haven't yet considered, I mean, with our Texas facility, we can easily supply that. What is on the pipeline is something in Space, Florida, because there's a huge on Cape Canaveral. So we're looking at that. But yeah, on cities like Washington, Seattle, it's not yet there on the pipeline. But we definitely can supply parts to any place in the US.
Awesome. And more of a comment from David in the crowd. I'm a Detroit area investor, and we may have a portfolio company you may want to know about. So just a reminder to everyone, we will be sending out contact information. Juan, if you've got a slide with contact information you wanted to leave up on the board there, also definitely would encourage everybody to reach out if you have any interest in setting up discussions. But as a reminder, we will be sending out contact information as well as Calendly links for anybody who wants to set up a direct meeting with either of the companies presenting today. Juan, another question from the crowd. Do you do plastic 3D printing as well? And maybe you can expand on what all materials you're capable of producing outside of the, the high alloy carbon steels.
Yeah, well, on the manufacturing side in Mexicali, we have some capabilities for printing plastics and resin. It's on a contract manufacturing base, but yeah, also we can do that. It's not with our proprietary technology; it's like third parties. But yeah, we do some contract manufacturing either on plastics, resins, and obviously on metals as well.
Awesome. Well, Juan, thank you so much for presenting today. We've got another 3 minutes, so we'll see if any other questions trickle in here, but nothing currently from the crowd.
Perfect.
So
And
Juan, if you want to, yep, go ahead.
yeah, well, thank you very much, everyone. So in case you're interested in this round, we already have secured $1.1 million of the 2 million we're seeking. Yeah, so just send me an email to juan.munguia@aerospacertc.com if you're interested. And thank you very much for your time.
Well, Juan, thank you so much. All right, next up we have Ksenia with Powertechs, which is a platform that helps assess skills, recruit, train, upskill, and repurpose workers in the energy and manufacturing industries. So Ksenia, I will stop sharing here so you can take over and take it away.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ksenia, a founder of Powertechs. We help companies to upskill their workers to renewables in order to accelerate the transition to a sustainable energy future. And my deck is not working. It is. So the world is changing right now, especially when it comes to energy, when we have to shut down a lot of energy plants, especially coal and steam energy plants. And this is James. He's been working as a coal miner for more than 10 years, but now he's scared his job is being taken away, and he doesn't believe his skills are transferable to new positions. This is also true for more than 80,000 coal miners all across the country, and will enable these people to get new jobs. We'll put them in our simulation of a coal or steam energy plant. This is the environment they got used to. And while they're solving their usual practical challenges on their screens, like this, for example, we track their hard and soft skills at the back end. And these are their transferable real skills they can use in renewables, even if they don't know they have the skills. Actually, practical skills assessments have been always more useful to match people to jobs, more useful than resumes, because you can put whatever you want on your resume, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you are able to accomplish these tasks. Now, ChatGPT has basically killed resumes, they're zombies. And so our main competitive advantage is our online AI simulator-based skills assessment, which measures not only practical knowledge, but also safety, compliance, communication, and even work attitudes. We compete with a bunch of HR tools that use simulations, but they don't scale it to the energy industry, and we do. We also compete with community colleges and energy companies onboarding programs, that don't usually use simulations, but we do. And so that we take best practices from all these groups of our competitors to create the first tech solutions for utilities and manufacturing companies to repurpose their workforce to renewables. How does it work in more detail? First, we create a digital twin over coal or steam plant like this, for example. Then we impose a layer of skills, requested in renewables. And finally, we create practical challenges in order to measure these transferable skills. Coming back to figures, skilled labor shortage costs a single utility company at least $10 million a year. And if you look just at wind and solar technicians, this is a huge market of more than $7 billion. If we add here electrification, hydrogen, EV, and other clean energy roles, this is a massive market opportunity. Our solution is industry agnostic, but we are focused on this specific market because the lack of skilled workers is already a bottleneck for renewable infrastructure deployment. And this problem is only going to get worse. We are the perfect team to solve it as we have a very complementary skill set. Mike is specialized in digital twins for power plants. Mark is our subject matter expert in solar industry, and he has relevant skills. Ilya is a PhD in skills assessments and artificial intelligence, and I provide a strategic vision based on my previous experience and an exit in the recruitment space. We started working on this idea in September last year and got accepted to Techstars. Just 3 months later, we've got the proof of concept for our concept, and built an MVP with the first users. We also got a yes from one of the biggest energy providers in the US and are moving toward the first paying pilot right now. And finally, we've confirmed the same need in all these energy companies and community colleges. As for the business model, we'll use a B2B SaaS, charging community colleges and energy companies per user per month. And if we take just coal miners to upskill to renewables, this is already a projected revenue of $8 million a year. But if we add here other clean energy roles, this is more than $50 million a year as our projected revenue. We are not currently raising, but we'll start to do so soon. So if you are interested, please contact me. Thank you.
All righty, fantastic, Ksenia. And we do have a couple questions here, and this is actually a fantastic slide for this first one, but maybe you can expand on which type of customers are you targeting for your initial pilot programs? We saw some in the power space, but can you talk to maybe some of the other industries here that would make sense as future potential clients?
Sure. So we have two segments of customers so far. These are utilities that are transferring to renewables, and especially utilities that have to shut down their coal plants. And we can help them identify first the existing transferable skills of their workers in order to upskill them to renewables, so we can also train them. The second segment is about green companies, green energy companies, which are clean from the very beginning. And despite of the crisis, they hire a lot, and we can help them automate this process and reduce a lot, at least by 30%, the cost of a bad hire. So we can really accelerate and automate this recruitment process for them. We also cooperate with community colleges because usually they provide these training programs for workers, but it really depends on the structure, because sometimes it's up to companies to actually be in charge of these trainings, and community colleges are just sort of a provider, right? But the program itself is created by a company. So utility companies, green companies, and community colleges. But as I've mentioned before, the solution itself is industry agnostic, so we can easily scale it to the manufacturing industry, including EV, which is also part of renewables, and other segments too.
Awesome. And I think this kind of piggybacks on that just from expanding horizontally into different industries, but also different disciplines within the trades. So outside of the electrical discipline, are there other trades that you're focusing on developing assessments for? So like iron workers, pipe fitters, carpenters. I have an oil and gas background myself, so I'm just thinking of who I've worked with in the past, welders. Could you speak to the expansion from like a content standpoint into disciplines outside of power and electricity?
Sure. So, well, basically, the majority of skills we track, they are industry agnostic too, meaning mostly these are soft skills and they don't really depend on the specific industry nor profession. So we all need like flexibility, the ability to learn, critical thinking, and so forth. So we don't even have to adapt our solution to these kind of skills to measure. But as for the industry-specific skills, it requires a bit more time, but it's still feasible. And we have a subject matter expert for this kind of tasks. And yeah, so it needs to be customized, but it's still feasible.
Awesome. And is there a plan to move the assessment modules, or do they currently exist in like an AR/VR platform, or are they more computer-based? And is there any plan to move them to an AR/VR platform? Could you speak to that a little bit?
Sure. So far we have prototypes. We have more than 12 simulations. These are mostly basic simulations done to check the idea, but they already measure a bunch of skills. Like one short simulation can measure up to 10, 12 skills needed by companies. And they're available on desktop and mobile versions. As for the VR, AR, it's definitely on our radars, and it's not really complicated to add. But first, we would prefer to like get a critical number of clients and to move like iteratively, step by step to this model too.
Awesome. And I think this kind of piggybacks off of that question a little bit, but as far as the development in both a dollars standpoint as well as a time standpoint, what's going into these modules in terms of costs and time to get these individual modules ready to roll out in a production environment?
Do you mean what the influence to the price of the execution, or I didn't really get the question. That's about the price of the execution, right?
Yeah, so just to build a new module or a new assessment, how long does it take in days or weeks, and then how much does it cost to you in dollars?
Well, actually, to make these basic simulations we have so far, it takes around 1 week each, meaning that we can easily scale it to the adjacent things, and that's covered by our team. As for the larger projects, like making a real digital twin of the whole plant, that's something like 40K for the whole thing, but it's a lot. So we don't really need it right now, so we can proceed with what we have and what we can do. And as for the time, like from 2 months up to 4 months for this planned digitalization. And as for the learning engineering, this layer of skills required by renewables, it's done more or less because we have a PhD in our team who was really specialized in the thing, and he's been doing this kind of stuff like many times, and we have it already incorporated into the solution partly. So I cannot say that it won't take nothing, but it's really feasible in the amount of time, like 1 month, 2 months maximum.
Fantastic, and certainly understand the digital twin for a whole power generation facility, right, is kind of a whole different beast than one of these training modules. So makes a lot of sense. Thank you for expanding there. Another question from the crowd. I saw on the monetization slides that there are going to be B2B revenue streams as well as B2C revenue streams, but are your customers and revenues primarily going to come from the B2B clients or from the consumers?
Actually, right now we are focused on a B2B model, meaning that these are companies and community colleges, they pay. But according to our previous experience, and I especially exited from my first startup, where we acquired more than 500,000 users with basically $0 invested in marketing, and it was a B2C. So we know how to monetize this audience. And we plan to like add this income source in the future, but as this skill set is controlled by companies, that's sort of more logical to be focused on the companies as a customer. And yeah, so far we are focused on a B2B, but we plan to monetize a B2C audience too in the future.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. In terms of exit plans, as kind of a serial entrepreneur, you've had a couple exits for yourself already. What do you envision as kind of the ideal exit for Powertechs?
That's a great question. Thank you so much. Well, it really depends on the market development in the upcoming 5 years. Right now, it seems to be the best option to us to be acquired by one of the big energy providers. But yeah, anyway, we want to have this opportunity to consider. Yeah, so probably the exit strategy, that's the best option so far.
Awesome. And kind of piggybacking on the discussion about, the complexity of building a full-scale digital twin for, say, a steam-powered power plant or coal-fired power plant or a renewable plant. Mm-hmm. But how do you keep up with all the different technologies that go into each of these industrial sites? Again, just kind of leaning on my experience in oil and gas, looking at a compressor station, you might have a superheater doing gas conditioning, a suction scrubber, a PDC building powering all the control systems, blowdown silencers. What's the plan for kind of scaling the subject matter experts that you have on board as you approach different industries to make sure that you can kind of partner with your clients to create these specific training modules for their engineered equipment?
Sure. So yeah, as I've mentioned before, we really build it with together with customers, with companies, and companies already have this kind of background and something like pen and paper, but we can use it. So it's really that's a lot of expertise, but it's open to us because companies have it and they are ready to share it. But anyway, for all these kind of slightly different even slightly in different industries, we have our subject matter expert within the team. So it's up to us to find it, this person. But yeah, it takes time, but not so long. Meaning that it took 1.5 months to find Mark, for example, and we had a huge number of applicants to choose from. But yeah, so first, these are companies that are ready to share. And second, a CME who is flexible in terms of the learning engineering. And most importantly, again, the ultimate goal is not to make sort of an ideal digital twin or for the professions that probably won't be used anymore. The thing is to identify the existing transferable skills, which are industry agnostic. And our strength is mostly about the learning engineering behind the whole thing. And yeah, so we need, and as for this learning engineering thing, we need just to build it once.
Fantastic, fantastic. It definitely makes sense from an implementation standpoint when you're working with the client, right? They've got the plant operators, their existing employees, and you can kind of take that train the trainer platform, even though the trainer is the platform, right?
Yeah.
So definitely working hand in hand with your clients and leveraging the talent from kind of across the table, so to speak. Well, Ksenia, I'm not seeing any more questions from the crowd, and we are right at 2:59. So thank you so much for presenting today. To all of the participating companies, great job. And thank you to all of our participants. Once again, we will be sending out contact information for each of the companies that presented today to all of the attendees on today's call.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you to everyone in the audience.